Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the pre-show. Dragon Squad, thank you for being here. I'm John Adarola. Today is Big News Wednesday, and yeah, the rundown is packed to overflowing. We got J.R. Jackson. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about just, here on the pre-show. So very much a big news day. So I want to thank you all for being here, and especially those of you who've already hit the like button. Thank you so much for that. If the rest of you would like to, maybe try it out. Maybe it's something you like. You never know. Anyway, so through the course of this pre-show, we're going to be going through a number of different little updates and stuff like that, stuff that I find interesting, but didn't necessarily merit a spot on the show. And then we're going to have a little discussion about the headline story about this on-air stunt that was pulled by this Fox reporter earlier this week. So that should definitely be fun. Most important news of the day, though, let's start off with this. So first of all, you need to know we're doing Meanwhile In. So we're going to be giving you news updates, things that are going on in, if I remember correctly, it's the Arctic, China, and Yemen on the course in a little bit. This one almost made it on, and as soon as I told my producers that it hadn't made it onto Meanwhile In, they were frustrated. This would have been news from Scotland, and it's about Stumpy. Stumpy is the world's oldest ring-tailed lemur. 35 years old, Stumpy is. And so Stumpy's birthday was recently held at a Scottish zoo, and they made a lemur-friendly birthday cake that he's pictured online eating. He seems to be a fan of bananas, from what I can tell. Normally, lemurs live about 12 to 15. In captivity, they can live up to about 25. So the idea that they would live an additional 10 years is just crazy. Now, is this news? No, obviously not. But it's really cute. You should definitely go take a look at that. Stumpy is a real cutie. And we all need animals sometimes to help us get us through the news. There are monkey emojis I'm finding out on YouTube. So that's fun too. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. But no, to get into the real news. Oh, by the way, I should let you know, we're probably not going to be talking about Biden and Putin and their meeting and stuff like that for two reasons. So the main reason is that the real news of it is going to come out of what they actually say, and we just don't know that yet. I think Putin might be doing his press conference right now, but there's been a million headlines this morning, but it's all like, it's an analysis of their body language and whether they smiled at each other, and I'm just not that interested. So we'll see if anything comes out of what they actually say in their press conference, but that would be more for the Young Turks later on, or possibly for tomorrow. But anyway, what's going on now, though, is yesterday the House passed this legislation to award medals to the police officers who defended the Capitol, which is fine. I don't believe that police officers are necessarily always worthy of the uncritical praise that society gives them in light of all of the things that they do. That said, in this case, the cops that are being awarded medals, seems like they were doing pretty important work, and they faced possibly lethal threat. So that's great. Not unanimous, though. The vote was 406 to 21, which, honestly, that sort of vote might be the most interesting. So when you have a party line vote, that's not super interesting. All the Democrats, voting for, all the Republicans against, or vice versa, or whatever. The slightly more interesting vote is what we've had a few times this year, which is there will be like one Republican that votes against something. So whether, it's in the state legislature in Florida, it's Matt Gaetz against some sort of sex trafficking law, or Josh Hawley being the only senator to vote against the hate crimes bill. That's a little bit more interesting, but they're clearly doing that, just to make waves, make a name for themselves. When it's 21, though, it's like they're not really standing out when they vote against it, but it's not it's not clearly a party line thing. So you had 21 who said we shouldn't give the police medals for this. Now they'll often they couch their opposition to it, and no, like, I'm totally like for the cops, think it's great, thin blue line, it's the most important thing. It's just, this is partisan. What is partisan about it? They were defending against right wingers, I suppose, but they're not going to say that, because remember, by the way, Like, they would have you believe that these cops were being assailed by Antifa. This was a leftist thing. Well, then why are you opposing medals for the cops? Like, they were fighting against Antifa. Isn't that the most important thing ever? Like, this is a riot of Antifa super soldiers that they're defending against. But no, fuck them. They don't get medals. So you have people like, can you guess? Like, little Chip Roy's there, Andy Biggs, Lauren Boebert. You got Matt Gaetz, Louis Gohmert, Paul Gosar, Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's, this is the people you'd expect or whatever. All seeming to have some sort of problem with it. I guess it's too partisan. It's too partisan. Anyway, so they opposed it. And again, look, the medals for the cops, it's not the most important thing in the news to me. But it is interesting. Still sending signals out to their base. We're with you. We're with you. The cops were wrong to have stopped these people. They shouldn't have done it. That is the signal that they're actually sending. And related to that, there's a study. It almost made it on the main show, actually. Reuters conducted this survey. No, actually, I apologize. The Brennan Center for Justice conducted a survey of election workers. So in addition to, like secretaries of state and stuff like that, obviously our elections are only possible because thousands and thousands of people actually work on them. Now, some of them are temporary volunteers. Some of them are election officials at a variety of different levels. So 1 in 3 say that they feel unsafe on the job. 1 in 6 report that they've been personally threatened over their work. 1 in 6. So thousands and thousands of people have been threatened. Now, apparently, there's been a lot of resignations. And here's the thing, like, a lot of this work is fairly thankless. Many of these people are unpaid. The ones who are paid, I doubt, are making much money. And now 54% say that social media has made their work more dangerous. 78% say that it's made it more difficult because, of course, like they not only have been through this experience of the general election, which was devastating in a lot of ways, but why would they believe that future elections would be any less rife with misinformation, with organized AstroTurf campaigns to hound them, doxing them, spreading their family's information, and threatening to kill them? Or if you're one of the more high up people and you preside over an election and you don't pretend that it was stolen, you'll probably end up getting taken out if it's a position that actually is elected. And so if you're not making much money doing it in the first place, why do that? So there is the very real possibility that not only will we have all the other ways that the next elections are going to be messed with that we've been talking about, but that we might have problems actually getting people to work these elections, at least in certain states, because why would you want to? If you're in California or whatever, you're probably going to be just fine. You can do it. But would you want to do this work in Georgia or Wisconsin or something like that? I don't see why you would. I don't see why you would. Now, really fast, I want to make sure that I don't forget. I'm going to mention this on the main show as well, or on the main Damage Report show as well. But I wanted to do a special birthday shout out to Annie, who turns 60 today. Might have been yesterday, but happy birthday, Annie, in either case. Thank you for watching. Family member sent us the photo of Annie wearing the Pride Dragon Squad shirt, which is absolutely awesome. I love anytime people send us pictures of them as shirts. I just love it. Anyway, but happy birthday. So thank you for that. I'm now finding out, and again, still not going to cover it much. The Putin-Biden meeting was ended after 90 minutes. It was anticipated to be 4 to 5 hours. Again, okay, so yeah, that is less than expected. We will see. We will see what they actually said. We'll see. Anyway, Lynn Bloom says, celebrating my 65th birthday today, watching my favorite daily podcast. Thank you, Lynn Bloom. Happy birthday. Thank you for watching. Big birthday day. Okay, let's see. Ann Carhart says, good morning. It is my birthday. Shout out to my favorite LGBTQ charity, the Rainbow Support Group, South Carolina. Got my Pride Dragon shirt for today. That's awesome. What a birthday day. Ann, happy birthday. It's also, let's see. Bernie Zeffing Mitten says, I'm actually quite surprised the vote for Juneteenth to be a holiday was unanimous. Anything related to January 6th? Nah, that's true. We're going to be talking about that on the show, so I'll have more of my commentary there. Nate, she says, I hate that I'm saying this, but Michael Cohen's podcast is actually kind of okay. I wish I hated it, but he does have an interesting take on things. So I have not listened to much of it. Somebody said that they'd used a soundbite from the damage report, so I listened to a couple minutes and I wasn't able to find it in that. It's very like the little bit that I listened to, the couple of minutes, it was very shock jockey. Like not in the material, but there was like lots of little audio cues and music and sound effects and stuff like that. It was not what I was expecting. That does require some production help, I guess. If you haven't already, everybody, please hit the like button and let people know that the pre-show is live. Jess Freakin' Ortega says, oh my god, y'all, I cannot begin to describe how gorgeous the Pride Dragon shirt is. It truly is gorgeous. Pictures don't do justice. That's my next diamond painting. That's awesome. Yes, I was very happy with that design. And we've been anticipating it for quite a while. I'm glad that they were able to get it out for Pride. Wayne Sugahara, hey Wayne, says, you may remember my comment about seeing up your nose. Picking up your phone before the feed closes is part of that, which seems to be happening again. Just a friendly reminder, John, said with much love and respect. It's not at the top of my list of worries, but thank you. Okay, from now on, the end of the end of the stream is going to be like this. No, I think we're going to be okay, but thank you. Okay, let's see what else we have in the news. Oh, wait, hold on. Rob says, sorry I'm late. I was busy being right about my Loki prediction. Would that be because the episode came out yesterday, didn't it? I didn't watch it. My wife and I don't know. I feel like Thursday is Marvel Day for some reason. Anyway, my wife and I were watching some Sweet Tooth last night and a little bit of Peaky Blinders. So that was how we spent our TV time. Sorry, I have sawdust all over my glasses because I've been working on another woodworking project. Yesterday, I began the work in earnest on my board game coffee table, which is proving squirrelier than I thought. Very complicated, and it's I thought, a simple design of what I'm doing. So there will probably be more talk about this project later on the main show, which I'll be doing with Anna Kasparian. But yeah, covered in sawdust after yesterday. Okay, so more news. Let's see. Oh, Steve Bannon apparently racked up like $1 million in legal fees during the Russia probe, and he asked the DOJ to reimburse it. That seems weird. Like, wouldn't that be a thing that, in theory, Trump would reimburse? Now, importantly, they apparently didn't actually reimburse the more than $1 million. Isn't it amazing, though? Steve Bannon he's got the money. Like, he was fine. It's weird that we pretend that certain people aren't rich when they are. I don't understand that. Anyway, so, like, yeah, first of all, how you got $1 million in legal fees during that probe when Steve Bannon, like, if we were doing a ranking of the people who were the focus, generated the most conversation of the investigation, where would Steve Bannon even be on that list? Is he in the top 10? I don't think he's in the top 10. How did he generate $1 million in legal fees? I feel like that's like oh no, this legal firm that a bunch of my buddies are involved in, I need to pay them $1 million. Let's get the DOJ to pay for it. Or possibly, I'll grift some people. That seems weird. Anyway, don't particularly care about Steve Bannon or his legal troubles. He's a bad guy and likely to get worse. Okay, we're down to just a few more minutes. I'm not going to get to everything. I wanted to briefly let you know, this is a story that almost made it in Meanwhile in as well. Devastating story. Mustafa Al-Darwish is a 26-year-old man who was just executed by the Saudi government. He protested against the government back when he was a teenager. I think it was in 2015. Yeah, in May 2015, he participated in a protest against the Saudi government. They brutalized him, locked him up, and 6 years later, they executed him for the protest against the government. Okay, that seems insane. Like, think about that. Now, there are places in the world where just pushing for some sort of change in your government is enough to get you killed that many years later. And what's funny about it is I saw a story, I think it was today actually, and it was that Saudi women are now going to be allowed to live alone without getting the permission of a male guardian. So that's good. That's a social change. And there have been a few social changes like this having to do with driving and things like that. Obviously, we'll see in practice how it actually works out. And Saudi women, regardless of this new ability, are going to be legally hampered in only about 1 billion ways. But think about that, though. Like, this is how it works. The fight and progress against an authoritarian regime, where they will do some things as a result of great activism. And but by the way, any new legal right for Saudi women is the result of a number of individuals and groups working for many years and suffering massive consequences for their activism, including jail time and execution and stuff like that. But then they'll do stuff like this. They'll put stuff like this out to try to convince you, oh, Saudi Arabia is different. Maybe as part of some sort of nationwide tour of MBS or something like that. It's different. It's modernizing. No, you're executing 26-year-olds for what they did as teenagers for just protesting the government. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, so we're going to see the ongoing evolution of the political relationship between the Biden administration and the Saudi government. How different is that relationship with Trump out and Biden in? Is it actually different? We're going to see, because we know what this government still is. Responsible for untold suffering in Yemen, which we're going to be talking about on the show today, executes its people for trying to push for some sort of change. That's who they are. So, oh God, we are running so low on time. Geez, there's just too much to talk about today. This is the nature of Big News Wednesday. I just saw comments saying that Hillary Clinton had endorsed Nina Turner's opponent. Well, yeah, of course. Gotta have Nina Turner back on soon. Let's see. Kevin C says, did you know during the main show on YouTube, every time someone subs, a banner runs saying Dragon Daddy is pleased? No, I had not seen that actually, but thank you. Thank you. Oh, we passed 1,000 likes. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You know what's nice in these dark times? Knowing that we can easily put together more than 3,000 people to just talk about leftist issues, talk about progressive values. We're together. That's awesome. Moondragon says, based on what's happening in Mar-a-Lago, I've decided to specifically ban all Trumps from coming to my mom's memorial service. John, you're still in. Well, thank you. There's a bit of distance between me and most of the Trump clan these days, so I appreciate you making that exception for me. Omega Shenron Dragon says, Saudi Arabia is too filled with spooks. I honestly don't understand why we haven't held things against them instead of letting business be done there. Look, it's complicated because obviously developing economic ties between countries can, in some cases, help to push for an increased focus on human rights and stuff like that. It's possible because these some authoritarian regimes want to modernize their economy, but it's not necessarily a route for that. It's a potential tool for that. And one area where it's not even worth discussing is arms sales, because of the obvious damage that will be done as a necessary consequence of that relationship. Manicarden says, you should do a story about Jeremy DeWitt, serial cop impersonator, bad guy. I will have to look that up, Amanda. I was not actually familiar with that name. Okay, so very briefly, the Fox reporter. Let's talk about that before we end things. We're running out of time. Okay, so a local affiliate Fox reporter, this is Ivory Hecker, I believe it was Houston, Fox 26 Houston, went on air on Monday, was doing some sort of report, and broke into the report saying, before we get to that story, I want to let you, the viewers, know that Fox Corporation has been muzzling me to keep certain information from you, the viewer. From what I am gathering, I am not the only reporter being subjected to this. So it's a live shot, which is how she was able to do it. Says that she's going to be sitting down with Project Veritas. Now, she was suspended as a result of that. You can sort of get why. Not the Project Veritas thing, but the live shot saying that she was being muzzled and censored by the network or whatever. But the thing is, obviously there are issues with a lot of these companies, including local news stations and all that. So a lot of people were very interested to find out, what is she going to reveal? That's why she did it, because it's oh God, what is she going to have? What are they stopping her from saying? And then you find out, no, come on, it's the most normal stuff in the world. So they have these tapes or whatever. Project Veritas has these tapes. And let's assume that it's not selectively edited, that they made up stuff or whatever. She wanted to do more stories about hydroxychloroquine. Of course. And bear in mind, whether she was frustrated at the time about not being able to do more stuff on hydroxychloroquine, which turned out was not particularly effective in dealing with COVID, and certainly wasn't a cure and all that, and certainly wasn't a stand-in for the government actually doing something. She's talking about that now. She knows it's bullshit, but she's still talking about it because they wouldn't let her focus a bunch of the station's resources on misinformation having to do with COVID. The other thing was that she's on tape saying that she wanted to do more Bitcoin stories, and the assistant news director said that some Bitcoin stories aren't going to fit into the time slot. So it's 5 to 6. The audience there doesn't want to hear about Bitcoin. So look, I would be frustrated by that. If she wants to be frustrated by that, that's totally legitimate or whatever. You're not in charge of all the story. Like, and by the way, it's that at least there's something there in comparison to the hydroxychloroquine thing, but it's not like we've discovered corruption in local officials. We're trying to reveal it, and you're killing my story. It's like a topic thing. Like, I would love to talk more about pop culture. By the way, I totally can if I want to. Like, TYT doesn't do any sort of stopping for doing stories. But, like, if in theory, I wanted to do a story, like, I want to do 15 minutes about Loki. My theory is about the finale or whatever. And, like, you know, the head of programming or whatever, like, Brett came to me and was like, no, you can't do that. Because it's not a pop culture show. This is a news time slot. You have to talk about, like, the news or whatever. Okay, I might be frustrated, but that's not muzzling. That's not what that is. So anyway, like, to get suspended because of Project Veritas over this content, it just doesn't seem worth it. And I feel like it sort of makes a mockery of the actual issues in the media. And probably, let's keep it real, for personal gain. When people torch their careers like this, often it's to accomplish something. Like Piers Morgan, like, stormed off the set. He already knew what he was going to do. He already had something lined up. I don't know for sure that she does. You know, time will tell. But it certainly feels like that. There are actual problems in the media. Let's focus on that, not they wouldn't let me run one story in a time slot that I wanted to. Or I wanted to spread misinformation about hydroxychloroquine and they had a problem with it. Anyway, we are unfortunately out of time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and getting us up to almost 1,500 likes in this pre-show. I understand news isn't super... I see you, Sophie. I'm almost done. The news isn't as exciting right now. We're not in the middle of an election and everything. But thank you for actually caring about what's going on and sticking with us. I do appreciate that as we continue to focus on the issues. We've got way more to talk about. J.R. Jackson's going to be joining me in like 13 minutes for Big News Wednesday. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll see you soon.